makes to be amongst the top players in IPL history. He has been sold to KKR, goes back home to KKR for 23.75 crore. Going back home is another man, Ravichandran Ashwin, who started his career with the Chennai Super Kings, becomes a Super King once again. Heavy bidding war between his former team now, which is the Rajasthan Royals, and CSK. And finally, R. Ashwin ends up going back to Chennai Super Kings for 9.75 crore. A lot of teams looking to buy back the players that were successful for them last season, and that was the trend in this set of the auctions, because Jake Fraser McGurk, and there was a bidding war between the two Aussies, Ponting and Langer, but eventually the last laugh went to Delhi Capitals. He was retained. It was an RTM card that was used by DC, and they seem to have a nice opening combination now in KL Rahul and Jake Fraser McGurk at the top of the order, and Delhi Capitals seem to be quite happy. Well, it is the Indian Premier League, and rightfully so, Indian players have gained the big bucks. Rishabh Pant, 27 crores. Shreyas Iyer, 26.75. Venkatesh Iyer with 23.75 crores comes in at number 3 and splits the Punjab boys, Shreyas Iyer and Arshdeep Singh. Yuzvendra Chahal, 18 crores. But it's Venkatesh Iyer who has garnered a bidding war at the IPL auction in the battle set. Welcome back to Mega Auction Live, brought to you by Google Pay. Got a great panel who's smiling. To KKR boys, Owen Morgan, what's special about Venkatesh Iyer and why Venki Mysore was going up to him for 23.75 crores?
Yeah, here there's a lot to like about him. Left-handed batter, can bat anywhere in your top 5. Obviously has been an integral part of the Knight Riders setup for some time now. And we normally see this sort of supply and demand for the type of player that Venki is in a mini auction. I didn't think we'd see it today, but to go for 23.75 is massive overs in my opinion for the type of player that he is, considering when the likes of KL Rahul only goes for 14. You would say two completely different types of player and different accomplishments in many ways. So I would say you've paid way overs, but it was a case of two teams that were absolutely desperate for him. The men in purple and gold overseeing RCB. They're just one of a number of teams that have outbid RCB today. But he is a fine player. I think when I played alongside him, it was in his first real breakthrough year in the IPL. Score all around the ground. Very, very destructive when he gets going. And there's very few go-to plans when he does get to 30, 40 in a T20 game, because particularly at the top of the order, he can be so destructive. We were talking get that magnificent 100 against Mumbai, I think it was, at Wankhede last year, where he just took them apart. So that's the potential that Calcutta is seeing him.
And they've gone all out for him. RCB were right there till the end, 23.5 crores. But what's that differentiates him from the rest of the batters in that group that made him go up to that price? I always believe 3 or 4 teams should be interested for you to go there, but RCB were quite keen on Venkatesh Iyer.
I think many sides were interested in him at a price. Now, because of the flexibility that Owen Morgan's alluded to, he can bat at the top, he can bat, be a finisher. He's been a finisher for India as well. But I think now it got to a point where, hey, who's left from a international experience that we can spend money on? And you look at that and they're thinking, well, we'll get Venkatesh Iyer for 5, 6, maybe 7 crore. But RCB sort of got themselves in a position where they actually have got loads of money. Obviously they've got plenty of spots to fill, but they're going to get a lot of base price players, so they could overspend and they could just keep going. But it got to a point where they thought, this is ridiculous. Venkatesh Iyer, 23.75 crore. They went to 14 for KL Rahul, or they didn't even go to 20 for Rishabh Pant. So you sort of look at it and go, well, that's just because that's supply and demand. Who's left? Who do we think could fill that void, in terms of slotting in around the Rajat Patidar, Virat Kohli? There's quite a big hole there.
Lots of holes. But Venkatesh Iyer, this was his first mega auction. He was retained ahead of Shubman Gill, but he did go for 23.75 crores. Another man who is quite famous in both on and off the field, returns home once again, Robin Uthappa. Ravichandran Ashwin to Chennai Super Kings. A good buy? Oh, fantastic buy.
and the buy you kind of saw happening from the outside. You saw that, and comes a full circle, doesn't it, for someone like Ravichandran Ashwin to actually begin as a super king and perhaps end his career as a super king would be great for him, right? And he's been there, done that. He's an absolute Indian legend. It befuddles me how he isn't playing that game there in Australia at Perth. Having said that, I think, God has his ways of making things work for everyone, and then this seems like one of those things for Ashwin. Coming back home, you have Jaddu and Ashwin in the ranks. Get ready for turners, guys.
Massive turners. Well, the last time Ashwin was there, he was a young man who was prolific in the final and got rid of Chris Gayle and then Daniel Vettori, RCB's chance at a final, and Ashwin was amazing in the end for Chennai Super Kings. A part of many successful campaigns for CSK, he returns home on the back of some, Robbie, I'll stay with you on this, because some good performance in the TNPL. He's reinvented himself as sort of a batter who could bat as a floater. How important is he? Where does he fit in? Does he also fit into the leadership group of CSK?
100%. As in, I think he's proven over the period of his career that he's a lateral thinker. He's not linear in his thinking. He's always thinking out of the box. So you want a person like that in your side. You want those different options. And he'll always be someone who'll be at Ruturaj's ear as well, giving him options. So as a captain, as a leader, you want to have many options as well, to pick from eventually, to trust your gut with. And he'll get that with the likes of an Ashwin. He'll get those options. He'll get those suggestions. And like you said, he can be used as a floater. You want to chuck him up the order to play pinch hitter one day, and he'll go out and do that. And we've seen that. He may not be the highest wicket taker in the sense of number of wickets taken by a bowler, but he is pretty economical. It's seldom in the IPL does he actually goes for a lot of runs at the IPL level.
Yeah, well, Ashwin and Venkatesh Iyer, and as Ashwin becomes a super king, Venkatesh Iyer becomes a night rider once again. And Ashwin, with 3 years at Rajasthan Royals, just goes to show how big a part they played in Rajasthan Royals' success, because Yuzi Chahil's gone for big bucks, and so has Ashwin with 9.75 crores. Right, let's move on to big bucks time once again. The wicketkeeper batters. Johnny Bairstow, Quinton de Kock, they are the last set in this group. Quick one, guys. Ishan Kishan, Phil Salt, where are they going? Mike?
I think Ishan Kishan will go to RCB.
Okay.
Said that a few times.
Yes.
Hasn't quite. I think Phil Salt will go to KKR. I think the fact they overspent on Venkatesh Iyer might mean they can't go as far as they want to for Phil Salt.
Maybe Gurbaz then for KKR. Possibly.
Yep.
Possibly Gurbaz. Wicketkeeper batters coming up next. A lot of money still to be spent. Back to Jeddah.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue with set number 5. This is our wicket keepers, our capped wicket keepers, our first set.